So here we are, another American who have decided that, you know, after spending years and years of his life in America, he decided that he want to change the scene, change of scenery, change of location, and it's like he go to the hottest part of the earth because we are in Africa, Tanzania to be exact. Tyrone and I, I know Tyrone from a little boy growing up, and here I'm in Tanzania. Really because of him, I'm in Tanzania at this moment. You know, he and his wife Betty, they are hosting me at their place, and I'm really grateful for the accommodation, that they have given unto me, and I cannot complain. Since I came, Tyrone and I have been all over the place, up and down, and I just want him to just share a little of his experiences with you as an American living here in Tanzania.
Yes, so I've been here for over a year now. Moved to Tanzania exactly June the 2nd of 2023. And I can tell you this is one of the best experiences I've had thus far in my 44 years of living. And, just to be around people who look just like you, share the same values of you, it's a great honor. And, not dealing with the racism, it just feels good to know that everywhere you go, you see black people, running businesses, restaurants, you name it. They're doing everything for themselves, and life here is very much relaxed versus living in the United States. I mean, I live in the Kigamboni section of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and I will tell you, it is the most peaceful neighborhood I've ever lived and traveled to in my life. I mean, I've been to neighborhoods quiet neighborhoods in Atlanta, Georgia, New York, Massachusetts, even, in predominantly white neighborhoods that are quote unquote peaceful. I have to say here it's much more peaceful, You don't see too many police officers patrolling the area. Very little to no crime out here. The most, you might have to deal with is petty theft. But other than that, we just been enjoying myself in Tanzania for over a year. And I have no intentions of moving back to the United States. I mean, just like any other country, it has its good and it has its bad, but one of the things that would just, made me want to move is, the constant racism, the political polarization in the country, the decline in that nation. And it was just too overwhelming for me, Everything in the United States is very expensive, You may say that you own a home, but the way the system is set up in America, you can't really buy a house cash. You gotta take 20% down payment and pay mortgage for the next 25 to 30 years, and you never know, what could happen within those 25 to 30 years. You could lose your job, you could get sick, anything could happen. And if you still owe the bank money and you don't pay, you already know what's going to happen. And then let's say you did finish paying off your mortgage for the house. You still have to pay property taxes for the rest of your life, and it can go up, it can go down according to how much the house is worth. And of course, doesn't matter if the house is fully paid. If you don't pay the property tax, the city can take your property away. So when I looked at all of that, I figured like you really don't have the freedom that they claim you have in America, and although you claim on paper you own a house, you really don't own it. If they can take it away from you, you really don't own it.
And you can say, while explaining this, sorry to butt in, but you can say that you own your house.
I own my house.
And tell them how much, and I have to say, that's where I'm staying right now. The house is beautiful, and tell them the price.
Okay, so it's 53 million shillings we paid for that house, which is equivalent to 21,000 US dollars. And once we got it, that was it. The process was very simple. The property taxes, we pay about 15,000 shillings per year, which is equivalent to like $6 US. And you don't pay them directly. See, what we have here, we buy electricity prepaid. So whatever we pay for our electricity each month, they add the property tax to the bill. So, you know, it's very simple for us. And even with electricity, I mean, it is so affordable compared to what you're paying in the United States that literally you can buy $200 worth of electricity and have enough units that will last you for the entire year. So think about it. If you own property in Tanzania and you're making, let's say, $500 a month, you're living like a king and queen over here, because the food is very affordable compared to what you're paying in the United States. Transportation is affordable compared to what you're paying in the United States. I think the only thing that is a little expensive or just as costly as the United States is gas. You know, putting gas in your car. That's, you know, it's a little expensive. But other than that, you know, it's very affordable here. And unlike most people from America who came to the African continent to live, I didn't even travel to the African continent prior to moving here. I just packed up my bags and said, I am leaving the United States. I'm going to try it out. Got married to my wife, who is Tanzanian. We've been married for almost a year now, and so far I have no regrets in the decision I made. A couple of people criticized my decision, stating, well, you know, you should have traveled first, you know, before making a decision to move to Africa. And the funny thing is, if I took their advice, they would not have given with transportation and accommodation to get here. So good thing I followed my instincts. I prayed, followed the leading of the Holy Spirit, and now I'm here and I'm enjoying my life. So if you ask 40 years from now, where is Tyrone? If Tyrone is still alive, you're going to hear that Tyrone is still living in the motherland.
And man, you said something to me, and I never think about that before. You said, how many people move to the United States, pack their bag, never go try it out, just pack their bag, one leap, and say, this is where I'm going to live. And I am one of those people, right, who did that. And I never got test out America first. I came and I decided that I want to stay in this place. But you do the same, but the only thing you do it for Africa. And people would say that, how could you just move to Africa? You know what I mean? And you didn't go before and check out if you're gonna like it. You know, you just move by faith and just believe that things is gonna work out for you. You know what I mean? And I like that. You know what I mean? And I see all the things that is going on now in America, and a lot of people, you know, is getting so upset about the political, you know, landscape that is pushing on us right now. You know what I mean? To me, I see two people that we are looking at. You know, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And to me, I think it's just like a joke.
It's a big.
You know what I mean? It's like in all the brilliant scholars that are in the United States, all the brains, all the people who have leadership quality, skills, and ability, it's like they couldn't find nothing better to offer the people. You know what I mean? And as we were discussing what is happening in South Africa right now with all those white supremacy taking back over South Africa to bring it back in apartheid, and I heard many black people in America who believe that Jim Crow was the best of black people in America. So I wonder if we're going backwards. You know what I mean? Africa first, South Africa first, and then the United States coming, because a man like the head of all white supremacy, the man of the head of all white supremacy, black people, is giving him all the accolades and a welcoming. He even gone to a black church, you know, where a black pastor, you know, bring a white supremacy into the church to see if they can convince the people. What do you think about what's going on, man?
Wow. As someone said, you know, black people's worst enemies is within our own. You know, I mean, what's happening in South Africa, I'm not really surprised. And I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised, because it's like they're going a few steps backwards, and things that, you know, racist people can get away with in South Africa, they couldn't do that in countries like Nigeria, countries like Rwanda, because they're just not having it, you know. But South Africa, I've always, you know, been skeptical about the population, the indigenous population of South Africa, because it seems like they're okay with people who are not from their homeland just walk all over them and just do whatever they want without consequences. And I don't think that's a good example to set, especially when South Africa is looked at as the most developed nation in Africa, but yet it's still the most racially segregated country in Africa. I mean, the indigenous population should be controlling the political and the economic structures of South Africa, but it looks like it's people of European descent that are doing it. And I believe that it's being influenced by the political powers of the West, because, you know, as if you don't know, that you have an organization called BRICS, which is, you know, which have an objective to create an economy that is independent of Western influence, so that it would be harder to sanction nations that don't align with Western political ideology. But now all of a sudden you have countries like Australia, England, and the United States having indirect control over South Africa, which is also a member of BRICS. So now you're gonna find that Western power is still having some kind of political or economic influence over this new organization through South Africa. So, you know, I feel like if Africa as a whole is gonna further advance, we can't allow non-African nations to continue having influence over the affairs of Africa. And until a political revolution takes place that will resonate throughout the African countries, what is happening in South Africa right now is just going to continue to spread throughout Africa. And it's up to us now to push it back. And thanks to social media, you know, where we can get all this information that we would otherwise wouldn't get from mainstream media, we have the opportunity to push back white supremacy in Africa. And then living in America for so many years and, you know, being racially profiled, you know, the last thing I want is to come back to the homeland, which is the land of the blacks, to go through the same thing that we were going through in America for so many years. So we definitely need to come together and in solidarity and just push back and just put racism and white supremacy to flight once and for all. And that will start here it's going to start here in Africa, and hopefully it will spread to other countries where blacks, or better known as African diasporas, are being affected, you know, when it comes to racism.
And that's a wrap, man, and thanks very much, man, for this in little talk, you know, to explain about Africa and the freedom that we have, you know, going into the malls and the different places and just having a great time, you know. So you check it out, man. If you never considered to be in Africa before, you know, check it out. This is my second round on the continent, and I will be doing quite a few different African countries, and hope that you all will enjoy the KOJ life. So continue to be a part of the KOJ movement.